All right, everybody, we're back. This is how lighting works in live. John's trying not to laugh, note for the camera. So first things first, you want to open up Jan's in here. The computer should be on. If it's not, you just log in. The password's right here on the little sticky note. So we're gonna go over to Jan's. It's gonna open up, and you should be prompted to open the show file. You want to open up the last show file. So you'll see it'll open. Right now it says open 2RC Christmas 2020. It's the last show. We'll open that. It'll probably get relabeled from time to time, but we'll open up that show. So you'll see it'll bring up different selections, but the first thing you want to click is in the top left corner. You want to go to the console chooser, click that, and make sure that you have the live man on carpet dropped in and the teaching dropped in. You really need that teaching one because that's what's going to light up the wood for your speakers, and then the live main carpet one dropped in because that's your cue list you're going to be playing through for your Sunday services. Another tip too is make sure, this will give you like a cue of where things are, make sure your master fader, the top one on the right, is all the way up. If you don't have that up, that could play with the brightness of all the rest of the lights. And if it's down, nothing will work. Just FYI, that's happened several times to me. So now we're gonna go over to the playback queue on the top left, and this will show you everything on the 2 live main, which is what we have loaded up in the queue here. So as you can see, you can either click the individual play buttons that are inside this, so you can skip around and go straight to worship, or skip over to prayer. Or I know how a lot of people prefer to do it. You'll start in on the walk-in, and we'll let it take its time. It's loaded to do it for, I believe, around 6 seconds. You can just push the fader up and hit through play up here on the actual physical console itself, and it'll play through the cues. What's nifty though about going to this cue selection is that if you miss a cue and you're like, hey, I don't want to accidentally hit prayer and dim all the lights down on a transition, you can just come in here and skip over it and click the next. So say you're from sermon and you just want to go straight into worship, you don't want to do the prayer cue because they don't do a prayer or it just doesn't feel right, you can just skip it and go straight in. Another thing to note for in live, you have 2 other things that you have to worry about outside of the Vista console and the computer. The first one, you have this little box over here that's got 4 buttons on it. This is your curtain controller. So on a Saturday night, you want to put these down. We might move towards doing it on Sunday morning as well, once we start adding some more scenes and stuff to the lighting. The other one is we have these touch panels. I know it's in a couple of the other rooms, and you want to make sure that when you fire up Vista that you turn this off. Otherwise, you won't have control of whichever lights this has on. So right now I have it on full, which means all the house lights are up. So if you try and control the house lights in Jan's, nothing will happen because this guy is technically gonna override the Jan's. So you wanna make sure that you have this on off, and then that way you can control the lights out in the room. So that way when I click through, so if I go to walk-in, it can actually fade the lights up. And then when I go to something like, say, the bumper, it'll fade them back down again. It's a little hard to see. We'll actually put the curtains down. So that way it gives us more control of light in the room. The main reason for putting the curtains down is really just to have better control of the light in the room. Sometimes there's a really bad glare. Like Saturday nights, depending on the time of the year, the sun literally comes straight through the window and hits the stage. So we'll click worship, which is usually the main look we'll go to, but this is our most common cue list. Most of the time we'll try and set up the cue list to flow to the planning center sheet, so that way you guys don't have to worry about going in and skipping around all over the place and paying super hard attention. We want it to be as easy for you all. So for the teaching fader, we use this for anytime anybody walks up on the wood. So say you have a service host, whoever is speaking that Sunday, this fader is what you will use to turn the wood stage on and off. You should be able to push it all the way up and then bring it all the way down for on and off. We actually have the lights limited, locked in the settings, so that way you can't make it too bright. Because I know for camera, if you push it, if we didn't have them locked, it would get too bright and overexposed. So key things to remember: make sure you put your curtains down. You set this panel to off on the preset, and that you make sure that the proper things are dropped into your console panel That way you're playing to the right things. I know the easiest view, you can use Playback Queue in the top left, so that way you can see all your cues, and we try and keep them labeled to make it as user-friendly as possible. So that's basic lighting and live. Hopefully we'll be doing one for the other venues here soon. See you next time.